Hello YouTube, welcome to my video on upgrading the Venom PS5 controller parts, or docks. So, disclaimer, I'd recommend probably not buying these. Venom made their own proprietary sort of docking solution using the USB-C connector at the back of the PS5, but we all know the PS5 already has the gold contacts on the front end of the controller itself, so it's already got a built-in docking solution. So if you just go out and bought the official docking station, or even a third-party one that just supports the front gold contacts on that PS5 controller, jobs are good, and you don't need these extra accessories. Then, the only benefit to these plus side was that I got this for dead cheap. I got it for £4 used, and the two docking connectors, the docking port itself, and a USB-C cable as well. So for £4 I couldn't complain. I'd never originally planned to dock my PS5 controllers. I was only ever going to just plug in a cable in the back of them, just charge them that way. But I've found that it never charges properly, unless you charge it off the PS5. Any wall solutions you seem to use just don't work. Whether that's because the data pins are in use and it needs more than just 5 volts, it's not something I've been able to figure out properly yet. So I'd like to have some charge on my PS5 controller. I'll pick it up, and if it ever gets disconnected accidentally, whatever, it needs to have a bit of charge in it, so I will be docking it going forward. These are alright, but what I found with them is that once they're plugged in and they're using up the port on the back of your PS5, if you're doing a long gaming session, you need to recharge them at some point. It's either unplugging this to plug your cable in, but ideally, if we can, we'll look to see if we can add a female USB-C port onto the back of this connector. So we are going to have to wire it up and then dremel out some plastic on the outside of that, just so it can poke through. So I've taken one apart already, and what I've actually just done is just measured, just checked the continuity of these pins, just to work out which one's doing what, because this blue silk screen on this blue chip here is saying that this outer pin is our 5 volts, middle pin's labelled blank, and then the outer pin is labelled as ground. Now what I did was, luckily for my female connector, USB-C connector, so you can get these from AliExpress. They're going to take about a month delivery, but they're about 20 pence each, so they're reasonable. These are just for USB 2 appliances, so it's got power, voltage, data minus, data plus, then ground. So I've plugged this on, just so then I've then got these reference pins to go off, and I've checked the sort of, again, continuity, what these pins relay to, and in fact this outer pin is 5 volts, but this middle pin is your ground. Okay, so that's and this outside pin, nothing whatsoever. This outside pin, even though it's soldered up, there's a cable running between the 2 points, it's labelled up as ground, has no function whatsoever, having monitored these 4 points there. So it's a bit of an ambiguity in the sense of, did they plan on it on the PS5 having some additional function it needed 3 pins? Is it just to give it some style, on the outside of it, rather than just being basic 2 pins? I'm not too sure. For me, it's going to complicate the design, because when I first saw this, I thought, I've got a circuit board here I can use. What I could potentially do is just, when it comes to sort of putting this someplace, it's braced and it can withstand, the cable being plugged in and out of it. I thought, what, I'll solder it back to back on the back of this board here, and at the time it looked like VCC would join up, so there'd be a nice bridge there of solder, and again same for ground, there'd be a nice bridge of solder there. But in fact, we know ground needs to get to the middle pin as well, and it looks like data pin's not used. So to be honest, this, as a design, it should work. Actually, I've just realised it should work out quite well. So we'll still bridge VCC, and if for ground, we will bridge that across. So we need to make sure it doesn't terminate against these data pins. So I'm going to probably apply a tiny bit of tape to it, just to stop any shorts. But we'll bridge ground to that 3rd pin if it's not in use. Hopefully it's not, like I'll just go plug it in and it blows something up. But then we will bridge these 2 pins together. Ground's a safe one to connect, I'd say. If it was voltage, you'd be there'd be issues with ground. If something shorts to ground, it shouldn't kill it at least. It's just, we'll just have to reverse what we've done a bit. But otherwise, they're quite big pads to bridge together, and it'll give us a nice strong bond, and hopefully we've sold that. So that, again, this cable's going to be secured. I'll apply a tiniest drop of hot glue on it to secure it. I don't like using hot glue too much because it can distort, you know, what free space we've got, so that when some bit of plastic goes to where that hot glue is currently residing, it's not going to fit any longer, is it? So I'll get these bodged together now then, and the next step after that will be to look to cut in a hole to where that plastic's going to be, the USB-C is going to be pointing out the plastic. But for now, let's join it up, and let's just see if that bridge causes any issues on our charger. Alright, so I've got the docking station now. I've just picked up an old PS5 controller I had, so this is one of the original ones that first came out, which, as far as I'm concerned, it suffers from stick drift. I didn't like the analog sticks on these ones, they were too mushy. So, because what I've found since is that if you get one of the coloured controllers, or you get like one of the limited edition ones, so like at the minute I'm now sporting the God of War Ragnarok one, it's fine. You know, you can tell from one of them that there's been a change in design, which has been quiet. They've not told anyone. So this is one of the original ones. Again, if something gets bent out, I'm not too fussed. We'll trash it. So I've got the charging electronics plugged in. So now we just need to try and make it, without the plastic housing, we just need to try and make a good contact with the dock itself. So the dock's plugged in. I'm just going to probably use a screwdriver just to help just put some pressure on these pins. If it's charging, we should probably notice one of these lights on the front go red, and hopefully we notice an orange light on the top. Hopefully there's no sparks from having grounded those two pins together, because without taking apart the charging panel, I don't really want to see where it's going back to. So yeah, red light on the front. I know my hand's covering it. Can I? Yeah, there you go. You can see that. Can I see an orange light on the top? orange light on top of the controller. So I know you can't see that because it's hard to get it into shot with my hand thingy, but I've managed to shot it again. Hang on. Now it's whinging as an issue. Now normally it flashes on both if there's an issue with the power supply to this docking station, saying there's not enough current going to it. This is at least telling us there's an issue with at least one controller, so that's really when I shot the pins by accident. So let me just power cycle this device. Let's just go one more time, and this time I'll try and pay attention on. Let's do this with my hand actually. There we go, held down. Again, you can't see it, but stable red light. I'm just going to hold it for 30 seconds. Just make sure it doesn't cut out. But I think that's fine, to be honest. Now, whether it's actually charging the controller is again another issue. You know, it's an issue I've been running with just standard charging cables and like wall socket outlets for like Samsung chargers. So hopefully I haven't shot those pins hasn't affected the efficiency of these this docking station, because otherwise it's been fine. It's actually been charging controllers fantastically. But no, that light still remains. So yeah, shorting those pins hasn't done any damage, and that now has given us a good brace now for our USB-C port and this circuit board here, so that's not really going to go anywhere. So I'll put this back in the plastic case now, and we'll look to start dremeling. Alright, so I'm curious, having put the electronics back in its housing, if, you know, I've got to try and line this up now with the other bit of plastic. I think even that alone is probably a good indicator of where it's going to be coming out of the plastic housing, so maybe I could start dremeling there. But I want it to be as precise and as tidy as I can make it, because again, Dremel's a hands tool. It's going to be going all over the place. So I'm wondering if maybe where it will be poking out, if I just mark the top of this with a payment marker pen. Let's get some ink on there, get it nice, and keep it just like wet and fresh still, so that I can transfer that across, and it will give me an idea where I need to start drilling. Nope, it's not done nothing. Yep, nothing on that, so I am going to have to surmise that from sight alone, and hopefully I get it right, because you don't really want to bodge this up. You want it to be tidy, you want it so that it's not scratching up any plastics that you put it down on. Not having much luck with that, but that's fine. We'll give it a go. That's what it's all about. Again, it's £4, it's cheap. Worst case scenario is I just buy the official one and use that going forward, but we'll give it a go now. So I think it's going to be right on this curve I need to be drilling through, so it's a difficult one because it's bent. I'll be going from inside out, I think. I don't think you can go the other way around without it just scrolling everywhere. It's about centre. I know the solder wasn't the greatest, but I think it's about centre that. We should be able to get away with that. It's just getting the right vertical on it. So again, make sure you've got the right orientation, so the screws go in at the top. Go in there. I've gone for a smaller drill bit than what USB-C is, I think. So we might need to make the hole a bit larger as we go along, but hopefully this will mean we won't run into any issues early on. So we'll go right for the centre. Oh, great. Make sure you secure your tools properly. So far, it's gone a bit screw whiffy, I guess, but it's not too bad. And again, because it's white, I could maybe put a bit of tape on it or something, as I've got that sort of stuff in white. I'm doing it on the heatproof mat so I can catch all the dust and hopefully transfer that straight into the bin. Just make sure I actually secure this down a bit. So great thing about drill bits and tool bits is that they get hot as well, so I don't want to bear myself doing this, but I need to really make sure it goes in securely. Alright, so I've drilled a hole into the plastic housing. Now, to be honest, it's not come out perfect. You know, I think there's too much of the bottom exposed. And to be honest, I'd actually nailed it the first time I did this. So I actually did only just remove like that amount instead of plastic. But I didn't like the angle the charging port was coming out at. So I thought if I came down a bit, it might just come down a bit lower then and you know, look a bit better. But instead, I think all it's done really is just exposed too much of the shielding, and it's not done much for elevation and position. I think it's just because you've got a long circuit board here being wrapped around this plastic that it's just going to sort of be pointing out a bit at an angle anyway. So the next one, hopefully I'll tackle that one a bit better. It'll just be a smaller hole in a sense. Again, same angle I guess of exit. With this then, I can see that if I push on it slightly, it's going inwards. So I need to sort of reinforce it from the back, which I think at this point now is just going to be some hot glue. So I just want to be careful hot glue because I don't want it pouring out everywhere and from all edges. I'll see how that goes on. Gets on now. Alright, so I think we're looking good now. So I think this one's come out better than this one at least, and you know, it looks alright, not too bad. You know, I can't say I've got many ideas on how you would sort of improve the edging on this. I don't know, will I risk trying to melt it with a bit of solder just to make it flush? I'll leave that down to you guys to do. You know, alternatively, it would have been to 3D print them replacement cases instead, but would that have been worth the time and effort as well? Again, that's on you, you know, as opposed to, as I recommended at the beginning of this video, just going out and buying the official charging docks anyway for these PS5 controllers, rather than having to use these sorts of, you know, in a sense, extra plastic, you know, e-waste. You know, it's only going to have so much of a you know, lifespan before, you know, PS5 moves on. You don't need these docking solutions anymore, but of course I'm sure it goes for the official docking solutions anyway. But you know, I've upcycled them a bit at least anyway. We've now got the female sockets on them, so again, when it comes to plugging in a cable, which we'll try now, they're a bit warm still with the hot glue, but we'll try the better one. It sits, it's plugged. Moment of truth. Let's see if I blow up my power supply on my PS5. plugged in. Do we get a light? We're getting glowing light. So that's passing through and it's charging. And it's strong, you know. I don't want to really go to town on that port, but again, I'm sure it'll be fine once it's set a bit better. So let's try the other one as well. Make sure that's got no bridges, no explosions. Alright, so plug it in. And again, same again. Let's plug that in. Do we get an orange light? Power supply's looking good still. Yep, orange light on that. Fantastic. So 2 boxes ticked. Last test is seeing if it still works now with the original docking station. So we'll just plug that in. Look at that bag, £4. Anyway, plug it in. It's plugged in, and same again now. Around the hot glue, look at that on the cable. Alright, so controller. So just get it in shot so you can see. There's the red light. You will see a red light at the bottom if it's charging. Alright, so does it still sit? Yeah, it still sits flush on the bank. It's charging. Orange light on the top. Just to show as well, you can see it's way out of the way at the bottom of the cradle, so no conflicts there as well. Now I'm not going to risk plugging the cable in and having it charging at the same time. I'm sure that's not good for it, so I advise you not to do that either. And again, let's just check the other one can still do that. So I can hear it taking current, red light on there, orange light on top. Fantastic. So yeah, jobs are good, and we'll just have to see how long these go for, you know, how long this will last before it breaks. The fact that I've hot glued it now probably means I can't take it apart really without ripping stuff apart. So if it fails, at that point I'll throw my wallet in, I'll get a proper one, but for now, yeah, this is going to do the job fantastic now going forward. Alright, well, I hope you've enjoyed that and you've learnt something. If you do try a conversion yourself, let us know how you get on, and all the best.